Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Southern Dirt. My name is Summer and today I'll be giving you an update and tour of my Central Florida. Good morning. Usually I don't get videos this early in the morning, but it was so beautiful this morning. I thought I'd get out here early and give you a glimpse of the garden, show you what's going on, and give you an update. So of course this is getting into the hotter months and a lot of things are struggling, though a lot of things are thriving, like our peppers and eggplants. Here's our Vego garden beds. We've got some flowers in here, some basil. I've got some longevity spinach that's doing great. It's just got a little tinge of purple. Here's our sweet snacking peppers that are doing great. These are my husband's favorite peppers. I still have some kale going strong. I've got a tomato plant here. It's a black variety of tomatoes. I can't really remember the name of it. I have a friend that given me a cutting of that, but we do still have flowers opening up. We have our first tomatoes here. I've got eggplants going on. Over here we have a white eggplant. And check out these pretty purple flowers. So this whole garden bed's doing great. And we have been gone on vacation for a few weeks. We would leave for a couple weeks, come back for a few days, and just kind of take extended weekends. So I haven't had a lot of time to tend to our weeds. The kids and I got out here and pulled the biggest ones, and it's just so hot to even garden in the middle of the day, try to get up early, or garden late in the evening. So please, if you're new to gardening, do not try to garden in the summer in the middle of the day. You'll get discouraged. You'll be frustrated and it gets really hot. So over here we have some Madagascar beans that is trellising up this wall. We have a little power unit back here. It's just really ugly, and this is actually helping cover that wall area. It looked like I had some flowers before we left on vacation, but they were actually just little new leaves. So this actually is a perennial, which I was told that it will grow really big the first year, and then the following year you will get beans. So it will freeze back and produce the second year. So I'm really excited about those. Over in this other Vego garden bed, I've got some carrots that are really late in the season, but I left them in here just to see how they would do. The kids have been picking them whenever they're hungry, and I'm gonna pull. I've got some small ones here. These I planted late in the season because I didn't have these beds quite built in time. And if you're interested in finding out why I decided to purchase these Vego garden beds over other Vego beds, I will have the link in the description below. You can actually save $15 off your order of $300. I absolutely love these beds. I'm gonna purchase another one and put it in the middle here. But our celery is doing really great. We did have a lot of celery in our larger garden, which we have harvested all of it. And again, I planted these late in this bed, so we're actually gonna harvest those before we leave on our other vacation. We've got some eggplants growing here. Eggplants and peppers do amazing in the summer heat here in Florida. We've got some zinnias here. Here's what's left of my tomatoes. These tomato plants got really sick. I have overhead watering in this bed, so they're constantly getting sprayed. Tomato plants just don't like to be sprayed constantly with water. The rest of my garden is on drip system. I did purchase some parts to make a drip system for both of these beds. I just have not had the time to install it yet. When I do, I will put a little how-to video together on how you can install your own drip. Over here is my little succulent stand. A lot of these succulents have been propagated from one succulent plant that I got for Mother's Day a long time ago. I love shopping different stores like Lowe's for clearance plants, because a lot of the times you can find plants that are healthy. They're just in a themed, like Thanksgiving pot that they just want to go ahead and move, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with the plant inside. So sometimes you can actually just buy the plant itself for the pot because it's so inexpensive. So if you're just starting gardening, that's a great place to look. Check out clearance sections at your local garden centers. Over here, I have my GreenStalk garden. It's kind of getting overtaken by these beans. What I'm probably gonna do is just try to pull these vines off and tuck them back in. But I have been extremely happy with my GreenStalk garden. I am an affiliate partner, so you guys can save $10 off your order of $100. And all you have to do is use my promo code SD10. I'll put that link in the description below. But you can pretty much grow anything in these GreenStalks. And up top, I have some pentas. I have some collard greens, peppers, all kinds of herbs, kale. I have some lavender. I have this little mini tomato that I recently trimmed back, and it's already growing more tomatoes. I've got herbs and flowers. I even have some succulents in here growing. But it's great because I have this just set up to automatic water every day, and it waters each tier just perfectly. I used to have some garden towers before that was just kind of a pain. They did not water. If you watered from the top, it did not make it to all the tiers. This GreenStalk garden is designed to fill little water reserves throughout the tower, so you're getting water to each individual tier just perfectly. So all you gotta do is water from the top, and then you're done. I actually have two others over here that I'll show you here in a minute. Over here is our little herb garden by our door. So I like it in this area because I can just quickly come outside, cut my herbs. But we've got all kinds of different things like rosemary, oregano. I've got two different kinds, and some chives. I did used to have basil in here, but I didn't have a automatic water in here, so the basil didn't do as well. Now I have an automatic drip in both of these containers, which is doing amazing, way better than me just watering every few days. Sometimes I would forget, so I actually forgot to show you my basil, but they have been doing great. I have them on their own little individual water. Here they are. And we came back from vacation and they all were crazy huge and went to seed. I've got, again, tons of weeds that I need to take care of. Some basil going in here and my mint coming out of here. So over here's my other GreenStalk garden. I mainly have peppers, and I did have lettuce in here, which all went to seed. I've been cutting it back and harvesting more. That's been really great. Though getting into the summer, they're just gonna constantly keep pushing into the seed stage. So I've actually replanted, I actually propagated some of the pentas out of that GreenStalk. I've never propagated any kind of flower, so I was surprised how well they took. So I've got those. I think I have pink and I have white over here that I've propagated. I also have some herbs that I propagated that I put in here along with some basil as well. But look at all these pepper plants. And if you haven't seen any of my short videos or Instagram stories, I've been constantly posting pictures and little videos of these towers with the peppers that I'm harvesting, because they're giving me so much food. And these are my absolute favorite peppers. They're called sweet banana peppers. So I've never been able to grow this amount of peppers. I usually would plant them in my in-ground garden and could never achieve anything like this. So as you can see, here we are in the middle of summer, the hot months, and I have beautiful, wow, look at that. I have beautiful pepper plants. My peppers did so good in my first GreenStalk that I decided I wanted to dedicate one of them to peppers. And I've got some sweet down there. So at some point, probably at the end of the summer when we get back from our vacation, I'll replant these little pockets where I had lettuce. But I've been really happy with our GreenStalks. Over here, I have what's left of my strawberry tower. When we did leave for those few weeks, we had a lot of water wash out. We had some storms that came through, which washed out my base and made this kind of lean. So as you can see, my strawberries got watered in the back, but didn't really water in the front. So a learning experience to share with you guys is whenever you do set your GreenStalks up, you got to make sure they're level and make sure they're in a spot where you're not going to get any washout. We have a lot of rain, which will wash out this way and on this corner. And I just got to get in here and reset this and make sure the ground is level. But some of the strawberries had been struggling anyway before we had left on vacation, and they just didn't get the right amount of water because it was tilted. So that was definitely a learning lesson, and we're gonna do better at the strawberry tower when we get back. Over in this garden, there's not a whole lot to show you. I do have some Seminole pumpkins growing, and I just planted my Seminole pumpkin patch in the front yard, which I'll show you. Really excited about. We have seeds for sale on the website. So we've got a few flowers popping out of here. Look at that. I have a couple of zinnias. I have one kale plant left over here. What was happening is our chickens were making their way into the garden, and we're just kind of devouring this side of the garden. Over here we have our tomato plants, which I propagated from cuttings from the tomato plants over in my Vego garden beds. And if you want to know how you can propagate tomato plants, I have a little short video that says, I think the title says "Never Buy Tomato Plants Again." So check that video out. It's just a really quick little video on how I propagate tomato plants. And these guys were a little sick before I even left for vacation. I just haven't had a whole lot of time to tend to the garden. So if you see something struggling, I mean, literally we've been back and forth, which is being home a few days and not a whole lot of time left to tend to the garden. So around this time of the year, a lot of the flowers don't set fruit. So it's gonna be really hard for these to produce well through the summer. And we will be leaving for a month on a out west tour. So if you guys are interested in seeing us and where we're traveling in that drivable camper that we just got, we're actually doing a big loop out to Yellowstone National Park and all the parks in between Grand Canyon and Glacier, and heading back, and we're just doing a big US loop. I did create a Instagram account, so I'm not bombarding everybody with travel photos, which I'll put in the description below. I want to be able to vlog it. I don't think I'll have time because I want to focus on spending time with my family, but if any of those places interest you, make sure you just follow that Instagram account if you would like to follow along on where we're going and what we're doing. I do have an Everglades tomato plant here, which you can see has a ton of fruit on it. Now, this is the one plant that I have grown that will produce all the way through the summer heat. And I do have seeds for sale on the website for those. They are a native to Florida. Over on this side of the garden, we've got a couple Seminole pumpkins I planted here. These actually I started late spring. So they've got a little head start on the ones that I started in May. I usually do my main patch in at the end of May, early June. So those are doing pretty good. I have not been able to spray them. I always like to spray with BT and neem oil because we will get into a lot of the powdery mildew and issues with little armyworms and different kinds of worms. But what I'm going to do is I have a neighbor friend that's going to come over once a week and just harvest the food so it does not go to waste, and I'm going to get them to spray. So even though I'm not here, it won't be my tending to the garden, but at least the garden is just not going to be absolutely disowned. So we have some flowers over here that my youngest daughter planted, and she is so proud of. It's so cute to see her come out here. She's 4 years old and scream. She literally will come out of the house, run out and go, "Ah, mommy, look, a new flower." So this is her little flower garden here. And over here are my zucchini plants, and I'm honestly surprised of how good they've done without me being here. Check this out. Let's see if y'all can see that. There is a zucchini plant. Oh, another zucchini over there. And let's see, I got a little flower. And I thought I had a nice big one in here somewhere. Of course, we've been fighting animals as well. Since it's been so quiet here, our animals have been making it into the garden. We had a lot of deer damage through here. You can see even the irrigation line has been all out of place and little holes in the ground. That's from little yearling deer that are getting interested in what's going on in this garden. We have a family of deer that crosses right through this area and goes into our deer feeder. Usually we don't have a ton of problem with deer because they fill their bellies with corn and they really kind of stay out of the garden. It's been helpful that we put a little bit of rabbit fence up, and we have these blueberry bushes as well that is lined. We have about 50 blueberry bushes around our garden. But every so often, if we get quiet around here, which is typically in the summer, they will hop the fence and come in. I also had something digging in my garden beds over there. I'm sure they were trying to look for worms. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it got into our little ferry garden wheelbarrow there and completely dumped it out. So all of our succulents and the stuff that kids created in that little ferry garden, we had to start over. Everything that we had some beans growing here. We just pulled a ton of weeds. I do have some loofahs here growing. I do have loofah seeds for sale. Loofahs are really fun to grow. A lot of people did not know that loofahs grew on plants. Most people will respond and go, "Oh, I thought they grew in the ocean." And I was like that too until I saw a vine. We were traveling to North Carolina and we stopped in this little organic garden place, and they had these huge vines hanging off the house and with these huge gourds. And I was like, what in the world is that? And then when I walked into the store and saw that they were actually little loofahs that you can use in the bath, I was like, that moment on, I was inspired to grow loofahs, and I grow them every year, and they will take this whole area off. So when we get back from vacation, the loofahs will be spread all throughout and hanging on the blueberries and our fence. I left this sunflower here, which the head got ate by a squirrel, just to see if it would grow up there. So my next garden tour will probably be really rough, but I'm actually interested to see what's going to happen with me not here. Now, I did put this little stake here. Excuse me. I had a couple blueberry bushes that died, and I think this is the entryway where these deer are coming by. So someone told me that if I were to put little stakes with fishing line right here, that the deer, if they come close and their nose touches that fishing line, that they'll actually not even think about jumping through. So if I have some time, I'm going to put a few pieces of fishing line here and maybe attach it to these trees and see what happens. Our kale and our collard greens are pretty much struggling. This garden gets like 8 to 9 hours of sun a day. So the kale and collard greens did great. And you can see as they're kind of like turning into trees, that's what they'll do. But as soon as we got back from vacation, we harvested a lot of our kale. I'm pretty sure when I come back from vacation, these kale plants will be burnt up like this one. We did lose a few kale plants. That's fine because we planted extra kale and collards. My daughter's garden is doing really great, and if you haven't watched her video, I let her do a garden tour of her little playground garden and all the plants that she bought on clearance with her own money and seeds that she started, and you can take a look at that. She was really excited and proud to do that. She's been inspired by what I'm doing with my garden, and every so often she'll come out here and start new plants and ask questions, and it's just a beautiful thing. And I'm hoping my other daughters will be inspired by what she's doing. But I'll put the link in the description below to what she calls herself Little Southern Dirt, and you can take a look at that. But we're gonna head out into our pumpkin patch. Before we go into the pumpkin patch, I want to show you my ancient collard green. You can see how tall it is, and if you're wondering why it's got a little whoop-de-doop here, is because I actually transplanted this guy. He used to be over where my Vego garden beds were, and when I went to put my Vego garden beds in, this was the only surviving collard green, and I really wanted to save seeds and let that go into seed production so I could offer collard green seeds in my seed collection. So it transplanted well, and I just staked it off. So it's become this cool collard green tree now. So it's actually one of my better producing plants as well. So wanted to show you that. So here is my little Seminole pumpkin patch. This is where we grow our Seminole pumpkins out in our vineyard. And as you can see, we are overgrown with grass and weeds out here. I will be doing a quick little food forest update. I know I told you guys that I would do a food forest update every month, but life happens and I just have not had the time to invest in doing those videos every month, but I will take some time to do that this month for you. But here's our pumpkins. We've got little flowers opening up already. I'm gonna fertilize these guys, spray them before I leave, and hopefully we'll come back and you're gonna see these beautiful pumpkin plants throughout. I did this year put stakes where I planted them because it gets so big and I never can remember where the main plant stock is, where to put my fertilizer. So a lot of the times I'm just dripping fertilizer all throughout, which is fine, but I feel like I'll get a better production if I'm putting my fertilizer right in the area where I planted the plant. So stay tuned for that. And if you want to grow your own Seminole pumpkins, I've got a planting guide and tutorial on how to do or how to plant Seminole pumpkins. I also have a recipe and I'll put those links in the description below for you.